Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
See you? All right, there you go. Okay.
Good morning, good morning. A much
Were you hiding
awaited.
from me, Dr. Session?
No,
I know, Dr. Session. It's been a very long time, hasn't it?
it has.
Yes, I can hear
It
you
has
now.
been a long time. Yeah. As you know, I've been away.
Good morning,
Doing
good
stuff,
morning.
working
Much
in
awaited.
training.
No.
I know, Dr. Session. It's been a very long time, stuff. Across Africa, well, not across Africa, but as you know, West Africa. It's been a very amazing training, very fulfilling. Met some amazing, wonderful people across Africa, well, not across Africa, but West Africa. It's been a very amazing. You can't hear me, can you? Very.
I can hear you now.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there was a bit of feedback because another page was open, but it's all gone now. I can hear you well. Yeah.
Okay.
Apologies for that. Sorry.
No worries. How are you? How have you been doing?
No, I've been doing well. Missed you a lot in the show, and yes, we have lots to catch up with. How did your trip go?
It went really well. Went very, very well. Very fulfilling. Very. Everything was great.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Well, you look like you've come back from a holiday. I'm so jealous now. I think I need to go on a holiday.
Unfortunately, it wasn't a holiday.
Oh yeah, no.
I saw it when I was going. I thought, oh yeah, well, I can squeeze two in one and have a holiday at the same time.
Yeah.
Do some work. Nah, it didn't happen. Of course, because I've got family back in Africa and in Ghana.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. The good part was that a lot of times I was with family. I stayed with my sister for a while, and but mainly it was living in hotels because you're moving from one place to another. And, one city to another city, and one country to another country, and all that. But it generally was really, really good. I loved it.
Lovely to hear, and lovely to have you back. And I'm sure it must have been nice being in Ghana, because obviously, at least seeing family as well.
Absolutely. It was great.
And with the COVID situation, how did you find things?
Exactly. I wanted to talk to you about that. And the COVID situation back in Africa, fortunately, is almost non-existent. I mean, it's there, but it's not like it's nowhere close to what we experience in here in Europe and in different parts of the world. It's well, you can see on the worldometer when we get there later, you see how low the numbers are there. And I like to say, congratulate, especially the Ghana government.
Yeah.
You won't believe it. I think most people would think that, oh, well, Africa, third world continent, blah, 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 and all that. But I tell you what, Britain has nothing on the way things are, done in Ghana, for example, when it comes to COVID. At the airport, I just get out of the plane and you just walk straight into one booth after another booth. I mean, every time you spend like 1 or 2 minutes in the booth, you give up your COVID results, and then you go to the next one, then you get the testing done in just 1 or 2 minutes. By the time you come out, which is about less than 10 minutes later, you come out, the baggage is out, you wait for your COVID results. It comes on your phone. You go to the booth. You get it printed out for you. End of story. That's it. It has. But when I go back here at Heathrow, and this is no exaggeration, you have to stay in the queue for at least 2 hours. It's not really properly well planned as compared to what's done in Africa, and it might surprise a lot of listeners. But that is the truth. They do it way better, more effectively than here.
I can believe that, and also other countries are doing the same. If you take other countries like Emirates, Singapore, Malaysia, I'm sure they're also doing some, in other countries, maybe even South Africa. So yes, I think Heathrow, unfortunately, from the beginning of the pandemic, hasn't really managed the situation well, and I think they have too many numbers as well. They have lots of flights coming in from different countries. So there is just too many people. And like you said, you waited 2 hours. I mean, in comparison to the treatment, you know, the like 5-star treatment you had at Ghana airport. So well done to the staff. And also reducing the risk, because imagine staying in the airport still for another 2 hours.
Exactly.
And then
Have to
around
fly in 6 hours.
and then around so many other people. I think the only reassuring thing for me is that those people would have had negative tests, or they would have been able to show that they've had the vaccines. So it's highly unlikely that any of them might be positive unless they've picked it up somewhere, picked up COVID-19. So yeah, I'm thinking hopefully it's not a huge risk waiting that long, but definitely things can improve, isn't it? That's what we're saying.
Yeah. Things really can improve.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not to take anything away from the British government. I think they're doing what is best.
Yeah.
You know, what is best for the country, and well done to them. Except there's always room for improvement.
Yeah. I think what's good about your trip is that it's so good to reflect on how things are in the UK, and then in another country where, you know, Ghana's like 94 on the list. So there's so many less people that have gotten infected, so many less deaths, and their country that have handled the pandemic well. So it's good to see. I mean, we in the UK obviously still living under certain lockdown restrictions, and still cautious about when we're going out, wearing masks, using hand sanitizers, maintaining social distancing. So I think it's good. I'm sure it was good for you to have that difference. But
and one thing I also noticed that really was reassuring was the fact that in Ghana, for example, in Accra, the capital where my family lived, and not just Accra, because I went to other cities as well, but mainly, let me use Accra as an example. Every single office you go in, every single supermarket, there are security men at the door with thermometers.
Wow. Yeah.
And so you cannot go in without your temperature being checked. And you must have face masks. And they've got seats outside most offices with social distancing, you know.
Yes.
Being considered.
Yeah.
So there's a certain number of people that can go in at one time. The rest, you'll have to sit down and wait until some come out, and then you can go. And it's so effective. Every single office you go into, the same thing.
Yeah.
To shops, to even in the marketplaces where the women are selling stuff and all that, they all have hand sanitizers. They have buckets provided by the government where you wash your hands with soap and all that. You have to wear face masks to deal with to buy or sell. You know, it's really good. And they all have this temperature things, the thermometers. They just and I thought that was fantastic.
That's fantastic, because we don't really have that in all the supermarkets here.
No, we don't.
And I think only like certain places, like I said, when I went to like when you go to, I think the London Sukyo Mahikari Center, when I went to the religious center in London, that's when they took my temperature. But other than that, I haven't had temperature taken.
I mean, they won't take your temperature at Tesco, would they?
No, I haven't had it taken.
Yeah, but in cities in Africa, they will.
Yes.
Yeah, you can't go in unless your temperature is taken.
Yeah.
And if there's any suspicion, they'll put you on the side. They'll ask you not to go in.
Well, that's amazing. That is amazing to hear that obviously they've done so well. Yeah. And you can see why, because they've really taken precautions. So sounds like you had a fantastic trip, even though it was work, but you did quite well.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing to hear.
So what's going on in the UK, especially in Bedford?
Yes, so I mean, while you were away, I was still trying to get messages across to you.
Yes, you did,
about the Bedford. So the Indian variant obviously has become a concern, as we know. In India a few weeks ago, the Indian variant started to become a huge problem, where we've seen over 400,000 people in India getting infected daily, with up to 4,000 deaths per day, if not more. And this was following, obviously, one of the large Indian festivals, the Kumbh Mela in India, where there was over I think 3 to 8 million people at the Ganges during this festival.
Yeah.
So the Indian variant obviously has spread very fast. It's been very aggressive. It's also causing another type of symptom or infection like mucormycosis, which is a fungal infection. We've not seen that yet in the UK, but it is that's the extent of the concern. So the Indian variant is the B16172, and it's now been located in 151 authorities in the UK, including Bedford. So I think Bedford was number 2. Number 1 was Bolton, and then other areas in the UK. So we've started to see an increase in the number of cases of the variant, and yeah, so it's rapidly it's spreading. So this is now the concern, and the Indian variant of Poku. I mean, we've heard. I think one of Fadi's friends spoke about their neighbor that actually has contracted it, and within 3 days went into a coma. So it is, yeah. So it is quite a concern at the moment. We've hearing
Quite aggressive, isn't it?
it's quite aggressive. I don't think the hospitals are actually inundated with the Indian variant. I think it's still spreading. And I think what the hope is and the aim of the government is now to curb the spread, to, stop it in its tracks, basically, and reduce the spread, reduce the risk, and hopefully reduce any further deaths. So I think this is the main strategy at the moment from the government. You know that on the 17th, lots of the restaurants were open.
Yeah.
People could mix up to 2 families, 2 households, or groups of 6 could mix, and obviously we can have larger gatherings and weddings and funerals, up to 30 people. So and a lot of other places have opened. So obviously it's a concern still because these places have opened, and at the same time we've got the concern of the Indian variant. And having said that, the government has said, and what we're hearing about is that if you do take the vaccine, so I think there's still mixed messages, but one of the messages is that a lot of people who have had the vaccine has protected them. And I think people that haven't had the vaccine have succumbed to the Indian variant. So we still have the UK variant, we still have the Brazilian, the Japanese, and the Kent variant. So we still got the and South African variants. But at the moment, the main concern is the Indian variant because obviously of what has happened in India. Yeah.
So in the news, they're talking about there's an amended advice for some of the worst hit areas, 8 areas in England, which includes Bolton, Blackburn, Teckley's, Bedford, Burnley, Leicester, Hounslow, and North Tyneside. And the government is advising that people minimize travel into and out of these mentioned areas.
Yeah.
And it's also saying that the bank holiday plans were plunged into disarray as a result of that. Now, what's going to happen? Well, I know that it's just advice, but there are no like proper restrictions, are there, into these areas, in and out of these areas?
No. As you've just read, I mean, this is obviously news now. That I think it's important. What they're saying is that people in these areas, Bolton, Blackburn, Kirklees, Bedford, Burnley, Leicester, Hounslow, and North Tyneside, they do need to minimize travel. So there's no restriction, but what they're saying is that they want to make it clear they're not imposing local restrictions, but they are providing advice that additional precautions can be taken to protect themselves and others. Because I think what's going to happen is if these people are going to start moving and traveling, especially over the bank holiday weekend, as we know, everyone is probably, like in a hurry to go away or go out or have travel plans already. So that's what they're saying is that just make sure that you are not traveling. So they're not having any local lockdowns. So they said that there is no, from Downing Street and Boris Johnson, they said that there is no local lockdowns, but they're advising. So I think they're giving advice. And obviously it's precautions. It's to prevent the spread of this. So this is quite serious, isn't it? Even though it's not, it is not restrictions. It's not a local lockdown, but they are actually advising us, if you are in these areas, you need to minimize travel. So you're in Bedford. I'm not sure. This is probably going to affect you more than me, but I'm
Well, it
so
will.
close to Bedford.
Well, it will. Fortunately, I have to stay at home for 10 days, so
Yes.
I don't have to go anywhere really. So, but after 10 days, I will have to go out.
Yeah.
But you know, I've always been careful. You know me. I've always been.
Yes, we've been super careful.
Super careful, and because it's not. I don't want to bring anything to my family.
Yes.
You know.
It's the same. Yeah, I've been so careful. We've like cancelled plans. We had plans with friends to go out in Oxford this weekend, and we just cancelled. Ferdinand just didn't want to take a chance, and some family have asked us to come to London, and we've said no, we're not doing it because we just don't want to take chances.
There's
You
no
know,
point.
yeah.
There's no point,
To
really.
be honest, we've spent the whole year in lockdown. I think a few more months is not gonna
exactly. Essentially, a few more weeks or months will not spoil anything really.
Exactly. I think just to say on holidays, just to say, they say if you've got a holiday booked for half term next week, does the government want you to cancel it or not? So if you've got a wedding organized, do you have to cancel your wedding now? So I think this obviously this precaution and advice is obviously affecting a lot of people, and rightly so, because imagine if like where you are in Bedford or in the other areas, Blackburn and Bolton. So you know, how are people reacting? Because if they've, say for example, they've had a party organized or they've had a wedding or you know a holiday booked, what do they do?
Yeah.
So I think this is now, this is obviously still, I think what they're saying, so this is clear, you can meet outside rather than inside where possible. Keep 2 meters apart from people who do not live with you unless you have formed a support bubble with them. This includes friends and family you don't live with. Avoid traveling in and out of affected areas unless it is essential, for example, for work, if you cannot work from home, or education. Yeah, and the Labour Party, the MP Mohammed Yassin from the Labour MP from Bedford, he questioned why there was no announcement, calling it guidance, which astonishingly no one was actually guided to. So I think obviously, I mean, like the way we've been discussing, there's a lot of question marks, you know. So and rightly so, because so he's saying, why put out advice then tell people they don't have to follow it? Surely these restrictions are needed or they are not. And I totally 100% agree with that.
I agree with him, you know. I mean, thinking about it, why'd you put it out and say you know, they're not needed? What's the point?
Yeah.
What's the point? It's either this or that. Say, okay, well, let's put these restrictions in place, or not at all.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah. I think I agree with him.
Yes, and Wendy Burke from North Tyneside told the BBC Radio Castle that it was very, very confusing. So it is. I mean, even I'm finding it a bit difficult to comprehend.
Exactly.
So it is difficult. So I think it's guidance at the moment that people need to take precautions if they are in those areas listed. They need to consider traveling out of those areas, and they need to also think about if they have any plans for holidays, weddings, or any other gatherings. So people in Bolton, Blackburn, Kirklees, Bedford, Burnley, Leicester, Hounslow, and North Tyneside. But to be honest, you know, they've highlighted those places. But as we've said, there is so many other areas that obviously still have the Indian variant. So you know, so it's just not, yeah. It feels a bit confused, a bit uncertain, I would say.
It's uncertain.
Yeah, but I mean, let's move aside from that. Anyway, the concern is there is an Indian variant. People are concerned. People are being urged to go for vaccinations because the government is saying that people that have been vaccinated obviously will reduce the risk. And we have seen that since the Indian variant became a huge concern, a lot of people have gone for their vaccinations. I want to ask you more about the travel, because we briefly spoke about this on the phone. Yeah, so with traveling, so I mean, there's obviously the red, amber, and the green list, and UK. Obviously, lots of countries. You came from amber. Was it an amber list country from Ghana? So, I mean, how are they dealing with the testing, and also a bit about what's needed when you're traveling?
My mind.
I've been doing that the whole morning, it seems.
Yeah, you know what? When we got to Heathrow, because
Yeah.
obviously we're coming from an amber country,
Yeah.
the queue was huge. The reason is there's lot of amber country.
Yeah.
You know, people coming from amber countries more than any section.
Yeah.
So the queue was huge. Of course, you'd have to have your negative COVID test to get in.
Yeah.
And then when you get to you would have to fill in a passenger locator form, and you would have to show receipt of payment for your day 2 and day 8 COVID tests. That is the amber. With the what you call it, the green, there was practically nobody there.
Wow.
Because there are very few countries with New Zealand, Australia, and I think
Yes.
Israel.
Yeah.
Just a few countries. So there was practically nobody there. Where but whilst we were in the queue, we saw a group from a group that's just landed from India. So they are in the red. So we saw them go through the red area. And the question everybody was asking in the amber, people gossip, people were asking stuff. Was why are they letting flights in from India? Because we know the Indian variant and blah, 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 blah. But obviously, these people would have to have a negative test to get in. And then they will have to quarantine in a government, in a hotel, paying 1,700 and something pounds to stay in that hotel. Anyway, what I noticed is that it's not very because there's so many countries, so many people from the amber area. That place is proper choked, and the other two quite easy to go because even the group that came from India, and they were going through the red area. There were not that many, probably less than 200. So they just went through quite quickly than we did. You get it?
Yeah.
Now, the other question I want to ask, and I don't know, I want to ask you this because I'm not too sure about it. I'm just hearing rumors here and there that if you've had your double jab, then you might not need to self-isolate for 10 days and all that. How true is that? Do you know this?
Well, I was reading a bit about that because we discussed this, and I was reading about Priti Patel. I think they were talking about a digital passport. So it is possible that in the future, I don't know if it's at the moment this is guidance, but I think in the future they're looking at if you have had your 2 COVID vaccines, that there is no need to isolate, and also you can travel. And I think a lot of other countries are going to implement or have already implemented that.
Well, yes, some countries have already implemented. Portugal
Yeah.
and some other countries, they have implemented that. You will have to have a negative test, though, to get in.
Yes.
But then you don't need to self-isolate when you go back or you come back to the UK and all that.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if the UK has started that already.
No, I don't think so. I think there's still discussions about obviously having 2 vaccines and whether you need anything else in terms of traveling. So obviously the vaccines are still being rolled out, and now the age group 30 to 31-year-old are being offered the vaccines. There has been talk about children getting the vaccines. We know in the States, in USA, they've already offered vaccines to children. So I'm not sure what your view is about children getting the vaccine. But before I talk about that, I just wanted to highlight there was this caught my eye because I remember reading about this person, William Shakespeare. So he was he was a first man. There was one lady that received the vaccine, and William Shakespeare is in England, 81 years. He was the first man that got the COVID vaccine.
Yeah, I remember that.
And so he's passed away. So he was the first one to get the COVID vaccine, the first man. And now he got it in December last year. and at the University Hospital, Warwickshire. So he passed away on Thursday after suffering a stroke.
Yeah, so it's not COVID related. So
Yeah.
that's
So that's quite sad. Yeah, condolences to his family. That's quite sad because I remember reading about it when we were, discussing the COVID vaccine when people started to get it. Yeah.
And before you continue, I'd also like to say that one thing I noticed back in Ghana was most of the people that I know, my sisters and my friends, they've all had their second jabs,
Yes.
They've all had their second jabs. I mean, that's quite impressive.
Yes.
Very, very impressive. Yeah.
Very impressive that they've been able to have their second jab. Yeah. Yeah. That's really good. Very good.
Yeah.
They've done really well. I remember when you started telling me they got their first jab, and just to hear that so quickly they've got the second jab. That is amazing. Yeah.
I'm still waiting for mine.
Yes, I think probably most people will be getting their second jab either this month or next month. I think a lot of people will be getting
I've already booked it.
Yeah.
So, because I got a text from my GP to say to book it, and I've done it. So
good. So that's all sorted. Yeah,
that's all sorted.
Yeah, we probably don't have time to talk about children. Maybe tomorrow we can do it. But just to say that, obviously, I wanted to just highlight about, in the USA they are planning to vaccinate children. Or and so obviously it's still being assessed whether in the UK they're going to follow with the same. So I'm not sure how that's going to work, and obviously there'll be lots of concerns from lots of parents like us, about their children getting vaccinated. So we can have a discussion. So I'm on the Waldometer, and hopefully it's refreshed. So the figures as of today. So the 26th of May 2021, the Waldometer figures with 168,532,575 positive cases globally. Total number of deaths is 3,499,942. Total recovered 150,068,917. And we know the top 5, USA number 1 with 33,947,189, with a total number of 605,208 deaths. India 27,157,795 positive cases. I think they're probably going to overtake USA. I assume.
I'm thinking the same.
They will.
The same. And look at the difference between India and Brazil.
Yeah. So they're also close as well. So total deaths is 311,421, but it could be much more than that. Brazil is number 3 with 16,195,981 positive cases and 452,224 deaths. France is 5,609,050 positive cases with 108,879 deaths. Turkey number 5 with 5,203,385 positive cases with 46,621 deaths. So totally different. France and Turkey has come up, and UK's
Russia's gone down now. Russia's dropped,
and UK number 7 with 4,467,310 positive cases and 127,739 deaths. And Ghana quite low.
What was South Africa?
South Africa. Sorry, 20. My apologies. We've done this after so long. I'm like, so South Africa, thank you for reminding me. South Africa, 1,640,932 positive cases with 55,976 deaths. And to say South Africa is doing really well with the vaccine rollout. I've had family members had their vaccines, and it seems to, I mean, the same side effects that they'd experienced, but it seems to be going really well. Ghana 95 on the list with 93,711 positive cases and 783 deaths. So, I mean, they've done really, really well. Well done to Ghana.
fantastic.
I mean, it must have been amazing to be there. I can just imagine, you know, such a difference. It does make a difference.
Can't wait to go back.
I can imagine. I can imagine.
It's really good.
I'm sure your
this
family.
The next time around, it has to be a holiday.
Definitely.
You know, I didn't really get to enjoy my holiday. Well, my trip, I did enjoy it because I love what I do and I love the work and everything. But I wanted to have a bit of fun. I couldn't even go to the beach. Can you imagine?
Oh no, that's awful. I know. If I was in Durban and could not go to the beach, that would be it's difficult. I know. So hopefully another trip for you. Yeah, so total number of new cases in the UK, 2,493 new cases with 15 new deaths. So every life matters. Things are looking a lot more positive. And yeah, I think if people can just listen to the guidance, I think it's so difficult at this moment in time because people do want to. I think we've come to this point where we just want to go on a holiday. We want to travel. You know, everyone wants to meet up with family and friends. But just do it safely. I think that's the only thing. So stay safe. Let's spread the love and not the virus. And just to say happy birthday to Mason. I think it's Ferdinand's nephew's birthday today. So happy birthday to him all the way in Port Elizabeth. And hope he has a fantastic birthday celebration. Lots of love from all of us. From me, Ferdy, Shreya, Aryan, and Sitara in England.
Fantastic. Really good to have you back, or to be back.
I know. It's amazing to be back. Yeah, it is. I'm still waking up, I'd admit. I did sleep very early actually. In preparation for today. So, but for some reason I'm still a bit tired today. But I think I'm still getting used to it.
Yeah, you'll be all right.
I don't know how you do it. You're like full of smiles, you're full of energy. You've just traveled and you've worked and you're like just bubbling stuff.
I've got to practice what I preach.
I think you need another hour.
I say that you should keep that big fat smile on your beautiful face. That's exactly what I want to be doing too.
Yeah. Okay. Well, have a lovely day. Enjoy your day. And lots of love to everyone. Just stay safe in Bedford. And hopefully you guys will not be traveling too much and listening to the guidance. But yeah, take care.
We're not going nowhere. We're staying in the garden and having a barbecue when the weather gets better.
Okay. Well, enjoy. Thank you.
God
Bye.
bless you. Have a fantastic day.
You as well. Same to you. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for talking.